Hi everyone, hope you're enjoying the conference so far and you're all full after lunch, and I want to welcome you to this discussion today. So we are discussing Beyond the Pitch, how football addresses societal changes. Today we will explore how getting involved with football, its institutions and charities can unlock powerful opportunities for organisations. From driving community engagement to supporting personal development and inclusion, we'll discuss how football isn't just a game, it's a gateway to creating meaningful social impact, offering a platform for real change. I'll get into some intros for today and then a panel discussion, and then we should have some time for questions at the end, around 10 minutes. So I'm your chair, Helen Sturt. I've worked at E.ON for 8 years, originally in marketing and now in external communications. And me and my team have an amazing job at creating the content and the narratives that support the work that we are doing with our partnerships. So we've done some great content talking about how our partnerships with people like the FA, with the Greener Game and Nottingham Forest go to support a lot of community work, and where the value goes far beyond our sponsorship. And strengthening our social purpose. So we're going to discuss this in more detail today. I am joined by a wonderful panel of experts whose work demonstrates breadth of impact football can have on our communities. And to begin with, I'm going to start by introducing to you Alex Bavin. She's Director of Growth at Lincoln City Foundation. Alex leads the charity's strategic development, securing funding and partnerships to expand the foundation programs and drive social impact through initiatives across health and wellbeing, education, community outreach, and inclusive sport. Next, we have Alex White, Chief Executive of Premier League Charitable Fund, the official charity of the Premier League, which funds and supports programs that empower participants to unlock their potential and make a lasting positive impact in their communities through the power of football. Alex brings deep knowledge and experience in sport for good and leads the charitable fund's work, driving positive and social impact. And then next we have Dr. Gavin Mellor. Gavin is Director of Data and Insights at Substance. They are a research and technology company that specialises in analysing and measuring the impact of sports-based interventions. Gavin leads Substance's data strategy and design work, helping organisations to measure and value their social impacts effectively. Next, we have Tom Drake. Tom is Business Head of Community Programmes and Operations at the EFL in Community. Supporting the Director of Community, Tom leads the operational delivery of EFL in the community strategic objectives, driving business planning, partner collaboration, project oversight, and network advocacy. Tom heads the EFL in the community team, ensuring service excellence and contract compliance while empowering 72 EFL club charities to thrive within and serve their local communities. And last but by no means least, we have Tom Norton, Head of Programmes at Nottingham Forest Community Trust. Tom is responsible for both the strategic direction and practical delivery of all Trust programmes, combining programme management and community engagement to meet the Trust initiatives and deliver meaningful impact, which aligns to the Trust strategic goals whilst also developing strong relationships with community partners. So welcome to all our panellists. So following my brief introduction to everybody, I'd like to pass on to you all, if you can give a bit of a brief introduction into your roles and more about the work that your organisation does. And Alex, since I started with you, Alex Bavin, would you like to begin?
Of course. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Alex Bavin and I'm Director of Growth at Lincoln City Foundation. My role is about building partnerships, developing new projects and ensuring that the foundation continues to grow, not just in size, but in the difference we make to people's lives across Lincolnshire. At our core, Lincoln City Foundation is the charitable arm of Lincoln City Football Club. We use the power of football and the reach of the club to inspire, empower and help people lead healthier, happier lives. Our work covers 4 main areas, as Helen already alluded to: health and well-being, supporting people to be more active and improve their mental health, education and employability, helping young people and adults to learn, gain qualification and move towards employment, community and inclusion, tackling loneliness, supporting vulnerable groups and creating that sense of belonging. Sport and physical is the last one, but no means by least, giving everyone the chance to take part in sport. regardless of age, gender, or ability. Everything we do is about using football as a force for good. It's that hook that brings people together and opens up opportunities that go far beyond the pitch. As Director of Growth, I oversee how we develop and sustain our impact. That includes building corporate partnerships through initiatives like our Friends of the Foundation. This enables us to use unrestricted funding to expand current initiatives and develop new ones that respond to local need. Securing funding and grants for projects. Like every charity, we rely on external funding opportunities to deliver and maintain programmes, and also ensuring that everything we do is financially sustainable so we can keep supporting our community long term. I also work closely with our operations and delivery teams to make sure new programmes respond to local needs, whether that's helping families through cost of living pressures, supporting service families through military separation, or improving physical and mental well-being across Lincolnshire. One example I'd kind of like to share with you today is one through our Team Talk programme. We support men who are struggling with their mental health. Sessions take place at the stadium, which is a safe, familiar space and where football is the icebreaker. One man joined us after losing his job and felt completely isolated. At first, he hardly spoke, but over time and through regular sessions, gentle conversation, and the shared love of the game of football, his confidence has returned. And he now volunteers with us and helps welcome new participants and describes Team Talk as the reason I'm still here. So that's the power of football, not just as a sport, but as a community, a support network, and a way to change lives. So in short, as Director of Growth, my job is to help more people feel that sense of belonging and hope that football can bring. Through our partnerships, projects, and the passion of everyone involved, we're building a Lincolnshire where football truly is a force for good.
Great, thanks, Alex. I'll now pass on to Gavin. Would you like to go?
Thanks, Helen. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Gavin Mellor. As Helen said, I'm Director of Data and Insight at Substance. We're a research and tech company based in Manchester. We've been going for about 20 years now. It's actually our anniversary this year. We've been working in and around football, community, social impact, and all sort of related areas for the whole history of the company. And indeed, it was a couple of research projects that we were doing before Substance was created that actually led to the formation, or helped to lead to the foundation of the company in 2006. Those two projects that we were doing, there was one that was for the Football Foundation, which was on understanding professional football clubs and their relationship with their communities in lots of different ways. And that extended to looking at social impacts and economic impacts and other things. And the other project was an evaluation of a research evaluation that we were doing relating to a crime and antisocial behaviour programme, which was funded by the Home Office at the time, which was called Positive Futures, and a number of football clubs delivered that. And it was really the work that we did on those two projects that really fired our interest in better understanding the contributions that football clubs and their charitable arms could make to all sorts of different agendas. And I guess over the last 20 years, since 2006, what we've seen is a real sort of remarkable step change, professionalisation, development of the ways in which football club charities do their work, the breadth of work that they deliver, and the scale of the impacts that they make in the communities of which they're part. Data and insight and strategic planning have been absolutely crucial to all of those developments. The charities that are associated with professional football clubs in this country have become very, very sophisticated organisations in understanding the purpose of their work, what it is that it's designed to do and for whom, and collecting really purposeful data that helps to demonstrate the impacts that they're doing. And it's that data that we've been able to work with more latterly to understand the social value the outcomes that that football clubs are delivering. We've done some work with individual club charities, but have also done work with Premier League Charitable Fund and also EFL in the community to understand the social value that clubs have been delivering, and are planning to deliver over forthcoming years. So yeah, we feel like we've been alongside the clubs, the leagues, the charities in their development in this area. But yeah, it's obviously it's them that do the hard work. We're just there to help tell the story of it all.
Great, thanks, Gavin. And Alex White, do you want to give a bit of an intro to what you do at the Premier League Charitable Fund?
Hi, Helen. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Brilliant. And I'm so sorry for the slight technical issues joining you this afternoon. So hi, my name is Alex White. I'm the Chief Executive of the Premier League Charitable Fund. We are the official charity of the Premier League. We were established in 2010, and we use the power of football to change lives. We deliver a range of initiatives across the country supporting the work of football club charities. As you may have heard, there's an extensive network of football clubs delivering excellent work in communities across the country, in the Premier League, in the EFL, and in the National League. So we've been doing this work since 2010. We've invested over 340 million into community activities in that time. Our focus is primarily on children and young people, but we also support adults and older people as well through a range of initiatives, with an aim of supporting improvements in physical and mental health, in supporting pathways in education, in employment and in training, and developing pro-social behaviours to help tackle crime and antisocial behaviour, all with the overall aim of supporting participants to achieve their potential and to positively impact their communities. So thank you for having us along with you today to join this discussion.
Oh, fab. Thanks, Alex. And I'll also pass over to Tom Drake at the EFL.
Thanks, Helen. Good afternoon, everyone. So as Helen alluded to, my name's Tom Drake and I'm the Business Head of Community Programmes and Operations at EFL in the Community, which is the official charity of the English Football League. So we were established in 2008, and EFL in the Community harnesses the power of football club badge to improve the lives and bring people together. So it's more than just football, it's about connection, opportunity and transformation. So through a network of 72 club charities, each linked to the football club, the programmes provide vital resource and support to help the communities thrive. So focusing on creating healthier, stronger and more cohesive communities, our club charities are at the heart of local engagement. Each season, they engage with over 1 million people, which is a remarkable achievement and speaks volumes about the scale and significance of their work. So from health and wellbeing programmes, education and inclusion, the impact is wide-ranging and deeply meaningful. So for the last 2 seasons, they've generated an astounding 1.24 billion in social value, which I think is a figure which reflects changed lives, communities strengthened and futures made brighter. So we work with young people and old people. So we've got from preschool readiness programmes, which is focused on infant development, through to older adults, tackling isolation, dementia-based initiatives, or walking football. The breadth of programmes is remarkable and impactful. So in terms of finding one example or observation across the 72 club charities that demonstrates and reflects the network is really challenging. However, I've got 2 examples, one at Shrewsbury Town Foundation. So after hearing that her husband Fraser was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was difficult for Debbie to find support from those who understood her situation, often resulting in her having to put her own life aside to care for him. When Debbie and Fraser moved to Shrewsbury, they discovered the foundation's dementia hub, which acts as a weekly support session to give both regular exercise and social interaction. These sessions didn't just benefit Fraser, however, they also connected Debbie with a network of like-minded people who will go on to not only provide support, but become lifelong friends. And during my time at Preston North End, where I've spent the last 7 years, we supported an individual who spent his life in care, experienced poor mental health, and found himself in and out of the criminal justice system. He found himself homeless and caught in a revolving cycle. In partnership with a club, we provided employment experience, mental health support, and housing advice. And this person's now a homeowner, works full-time at the Preston North End Football Club in the maintenance team. And he often used to say to me, the football club give me a chance when everyone else had given up on him. So I think the above examples demonstrate the reach of the network and how uniquely positioned they are to respond to the needs of local people. Thanks, Helen.
Great, thanks, Tom. Some really powerful stuff coming out of these. So again, last but by no means least, handing over to Tom Norton at Nottingham Forest.
Afternoon, everybody. Thanks for having us on the call. So my name is Tom Norton, head of programmes at Nottingham Forest Community Trust. A little bit of background into myself. I've been at the trust for 6 years, and very much like what Alex and Tom have touched on there, we've delivered programmes that have been funded both by the Premier League Charitable Fund and EFL in the community. And myself, I've been on the ground delivering those, whether that's been in community settings, school settings, health and wellbeing delivery. I've been fortunate enough then to move up and then coordinate and then manage those programs, to which now I've obviously got into the role that I'm in now and looking at the trust within the programs at a more strategic role alongside the rest of the members of the SMT. So the trust has been delivering programs and community engagement and initiatives across the city and the county of Nottingham and Nottinghamshire for the last 30 years. Like Lincoln, we're the charitable arm of the football club, and our main objective is to support those who need us most. So we obviously work closely with different organisations, councils within the city and the county of Nottingham to identify areas of need and where we can best work to support those who need us most, like I just said. We work closely with private sector, public and third sector organisations and build strong partnerships with them to obviously identify the local needs and where we can go and support. Our main 3 areas that we focus on are health and wellbeing, education, training and employment, and community engagement. Ourselves, we recently just did our own social value, to which we found that for every £1 spent, our output is £13.17, which I know we're probably going to touch on a little bit later on. I think Gavin and obviously the Premier League Charitable Fund will probably touch on that a little bit later as well, with the work that's been done behind the scenes here as well. So a positive example that I've got is from one of our health and wellbeing programs, Healthy Communities, specifically focused on our Healthy Horizon Hubs, which is a Premier League PFA funded program, which we also got match funding from Public Health, City and County in Nottinghamshire. So the participant actually engaged over an 8-week period, which saw positive changes in her life. When she first came and joined us, she had significant challenges from social isolation. She'd experienced homelessness for 2 years, an unhealthy diet, and an unwillingness to get active. She came to the first session and was really overwhelmed and emotional, didn't quite see how she fitted into the sessions. Now, the sessions are based around Nottingham City and Nottingham County in areas of high need and deprivation, of where health and well-being is really low. So we identify those areas, and within those sessions we focus on how we can bring better health and well-being to the participants there, whether that's through being physical active, well-being sessions, cooking sessions, or just basically getting everybody there in a social environment and making them feel a part of something. Through the work then that she did then each week with our health and wellbeing staff, she found herself building in confidence and almost finding a place there and wanting to come back to the hubs each week. Off the back of that, then she experienced cooking classes, which obviously then contribute to an improvement in her diet. And also she found a love of then going to the gym, which obviously then helped to increase her physical activity. So through that program there, I think obviously the four main things that she kind of came in with, which she was struggling through: social isolation, unhealthy diet, and unwillingness to be active, we were able to help her and support that. And the reason why I bring that one up as well, actually, she had no love of football or any interest in Forest really, but came and engaged with us still, and then has found a connection through the staff that we have that obviously just wear the kit and obviously work closely with the club as well. So I know obviously it had been touched on, obviously the power of football and everything like that before, but even people who possibly don't like football or have an affiliation to football can still engage with us and come out with really, really meaningful impact. So that's it from me. Thank you.
Thanks for your intros, everyone. I think that's the key thing, actually, what you say, Tom, at the end, talking about how, this is what this whole panel discussion is about, going beyond football. And I think from the intros, we've also really kind of got a good view that, the breadth, the programmes and the impact that they have on communities goes far beyond, kind of the football clubs. And I think as part of that, initially you sort of think from a nationwide perspective that football club charities were often misunderstood. So I think opening our panel discussion, I think it's looking at kind of what, from that corporate and community perspective, how do we see football charities contributing to the wider social value across the UK? I know we've seen some examples of it in your intros, and I think kind of why is it important for organisations looking to make that meaningful difference to speak to football charities like yourselves? I'm going to start with you, Alex White, from a national level. If you and Tom could kind of look at it on how it kind of affects the teams from a broader perspective.
Thanks, Helen. And apologies, I didn't share my example and impactful story because I was a little bit flustered because I had some technical problems, but I'll try to bring to life some of our work through the discussion. I think at a national level, football has just a really important part to play. For the EFL, the Premier League, for the National League, we are the league. We have a collective of clubs who we work with closely to support, to deliver impact in their local communities. And often we're operating on behalf of the collective, whether that's to sort of provide governance and oversight of the work that they're doing, ensuring that they use their resources responsibly, or to support them with the measurement and the demonstration of the impact through the work we've done with Gavin and his team at Substance, for example. But we also have the opportunity to leverage funding through the platform and the power of the badge, power of the brand that we have and that we're fortunate to have. So, for example, the Premier League has a number of partners, be it Barclays or EA or Microsoft, and we're able to help the league itself to secure those partnerships because of the work that the clubs are doing in their communities. That's an attractive incentive to corporates to want to engage in the work of football and what it does in the community. So it's a hugely powerful asset and a tool to support shared objectives of two key partners. So we're able to leverage those partnerships and bring in the skills that they offer, their expertise, to help develop the skills of participants and deliver that social impact. So it's a great platform that we have to be able to draw in resource that the clubs can then use to deliver that impact at a local level. The example I wanted to use earlier was Ishmael Bamba at Newcastle United Foundation. Newcastle, you'll all be familiar with, but a fantastic club delivering huge impact in their community, huge economic impact. And Ishmael was a young person who came to the country in 2006 from the Ivory Coast, and he was escaping conflict at the time of civil war. And as a participant through the National Premier League Kicks program, he was able to develop a network of peers and to learn English and to develop friendships, and then to access a volunteering pathway that ultimately led to him securing paid employment with that football club charity. And 2 years ago, as part of our More Than a Game campaign, which celebrates the work that football club charities are doing in the community, Ishmael was awarded by Alan Shearer a Community Captain Award for his support and contribution to his local community. So if you're ever in Newcastle near St James's Park, keep an eye out for a huge mural on one of the roads near the stadium, where you'll see Ishmael painted on the side of a building there as a community captain. So I suppose, on the point of more than a game, the Premier League's campaign is about celebrating and shining a spotlight on the work of communities across the country. And I think that from a national perspective is the opportunity that we can bring as a collective to celebrate local impact.
Great, thanks, Alex. So Tom Drake, in terms of the EFL, how do you sort of see, working with 72 club charities, how do you see the kind of organisation supporting those charities to make a difference?
Yeah, so I think the one of the main points is football club charities can be powerful engines in terms of that social value across both England and Wales, which the EFL spans in terms of having the 4 Welsh clubs. So I think much of the work that we've all alluded to, but it aligns with the TOMS framework, which is largely used to calculate social value. So, for example, in terms of the impact studies, which Gavin and his team have supported us with, the network engages with over 2,000 armed forces veterans, as an example, in terms of supporting jobs and education in disadvantaged areas. During 23-24, the network created or sustained over 68,000 jobs, which obviously has a link then to its social value. So I think, in terms of from a corporate and community perspective, partnering with football club charities often offers a unique opportunity to connect with local people through trusted institutions. We've got club charities and football clubs are anchored in their communities. So, in terms of in short, to try and summarise what me and Alex, I think football charities are not just about sport, they're about strengthening the communities, improving lives and creating a lasting change. And that's why I think that they can be seen as these vital partners in terms of that social value landscape.
Great, thank you. And Alex Bavin, from a Lincoln City perspective, organisations that you've worked with on a local basis, has it strengthened your relationships with them?
Oh, definitely. I think local organisations or other charities as well, stakeholders, we've really been able to, how we work together. We're not competing. We want to make sure that there's provision every night for children to do something, or there is a drop-in centre that might be in the heart of the city and then they come to us on another night. So it's actually how we all work collaboratively together, and it's a really good network for that. And indeed, working with our participants as well, how we can develop our relationship with them, how we can signpost them to other support that we're delivering, or maybe outside of what we can deliver, so that they feel that we're that ready-made community, and also that kind of warm hug that when they come through the doors is that we can probably help them in one way or another, to support them on whatever journey they need supporting on.
Yeah, fab, thanks. I think again with Tom at Nottingham Forest, we're sort of a key employer within Nottingham as well, and I think there's more we can do with you guys on that to the community trust, to support the community on a wider perspective. But we've done a few sort of smaller projects, and they just kind of just go in there to those events that we've done for some local schools, just to have get them to play on the pitch, and even just around that, just kind of capturing the content from it is just something that's really, really nice to do. Do you get that from many of your organizations, or kind of what else do other than ourselves in E.ON, what else do other organizations do?
I think Alex has just touched on that. I think collaboration is key. I think the last thing we want to do is kind of come in and be like bulldozering in and trying to take over, because there's organisations in different pockets of the city and the county that are really ingrained and have a lot of trust with their communities. So for us, it's all about working alongside those organisations and building a relationship with them and saying, right, this is the offer that we can bring and we could support you, whether that's through adding capacity or a specialism, or you know, just even supporting an event or something like that, for us, it's really, really important in terms of having that collaboration and partnership. And then, like you say, being able to then put on events together and having those positive relationships across the city and the county.
Yeah, definitely. I think also it's kind of that understanding, we do see that social, we see the impact in terms of the social value across what we do, of the whole of E.ON, and even just in terms of, how people view our content and the engagement that we get back and the feedback that we get from it. I think, Gavin, in terms of sort of business impacts and measurements, what do you see, organizations measuring from this perspective, and what positive changes and what positive results and insights have you seen for both communities and businesses?
As you've already probably picked up from the discussion so far, the breadth of work that is being delivered across different club charities and different clubs is so varied that it can sometimes be a bit of a challenge to summarize exactly what the impacts are. But I guess in a lot of the work we've done over recent years, we've probably packaged things into sort of 5 broad areas. There's physical health outcomes that we see a lot of coming from the work that the club charities are doing, and that, quite often obviously is coming from the physical activity delivery that CCOs and club charities are delivering. We see all kinds of improvements in terms of people's physical activity rates, and then all the accrued benefits that come with that in terms of their physical health. Secondly, we see lots of mental health outcomes as well, and they can be sort of secondary benefits that come from physical activity. And there's lots of evidence to suggest that mental health outcomes follow from engagement in physical activity, but also lots of club charities are delivering very specific work around mental health. There will be people who are trained in mental health within the club charities, and they'll be working to support people who are at risk of poor mental health or are already experiencing sort of significant problems with depression or anxiety or other issues. Sort of linked to that, there's a whole load of outcomes of different types that relate to social connectedness. So one of the aspects around mental health that developed particularly sort of in and around COVID time was clubs working on loneliness and the poor mental health outcomes that are associated with loneliness, and a lot of that work's continued. But with regard to other aspects of social connectedness, what we've also seen is a lot of outcomes relating to bringing different communities together. So a lot of football clubs are located and have neighbourhoods that have people from all over the world in them. And we've already heard an example from Alex of the benefits that have been delivered for one young person who came to the country as a refugee. We see football clubs, because of their sort of special position within neighbourhoods and within communities, being able to bring communities of different types together and to build respect and understanding between those communities. And for a lot of the people who are involved with different kinds of football club interventions, we see improvements in social capital. So the different connections that they have, the access to different connections that they have, the people that they interact with and the experiences they have as a result of those connections can bear fruit in all kinds of different ways. I guess lastly, what we also see is increasingly a lot of positive outcomes in areas around education and also training and employment. So many CCOs do a lot of work delivering work in schools, formal work in school settings. They do support work focused on behaviour, attendance, engagement, improving young people's aspirations, and hopefully ultimately helping to improve their attainment in educational settings. And linked to that, with older age groups as well, we see them doing lots and lots of work to support young people moving from school into training and also, as Tom mentioned earlier, from EFL in the community, work around employment as well. So a whole breadth of work that we see that is supporting outcomes that are manifold, but crucially, these are outcomes for which we can do very serious, purposeful calculations of the social value they return, both in terms of social and health cost savings, but also to the value to the individuals as well. And that is, that's increasingly the story that the leagues and the individual clubs and charities are looking to tell.
Thanks.
I can just jump in, Helen. I was just going to give, following on from Gavin, some couple of examples of the work that we've done locally. We run English speakers of other languages on conversation classes, because around Sturt Bank there's over 30 different languages spoken. And so we run these classes to help integration for those that can't speak any English and feel very isolated in their own homes. They don't know their neighbours. This gives them the opportunity to learn that conversational English. We take them out into different settings. Many of them have gone on to ESOL, that more structured programme. And we've got one lady that came here a few years ago with her 2 children, couldn't speak any English, and now she's got a bubble tea shop in a new part of the city, which is a tremendous, amazing for her. She's worked incredibly hard, but it's just one of those wonderful stories that's just come out of these experiences that they've had. We've also run a Community World Cup, which had over 600 people involved on one day last summer, and they all came and played football. And it was such a wonderful experience, all competing against each other, and it was quite competitive, but all coming together from the community, all different languages. So it was, again, it was just coming together to play a sport, but also to meet other people and to build a bigger community for themselves.
Great, thanks. And I think that's the key, isn't it? Especially around communities. I think we talk a lot about, the community and, sport within communities, but actually bringing communities together. I know we've done some work with one of the grassroots clubs up in Chesterfield, and some content with them around installing some solar panels as part of the Greener Game initiative with the FA, and just the way the chairman talks about the football club being a hub of the community, just a small grassroots club in Staveley. It's how actually that sometimes it can feel like the bigger clubs are a bit isolated, but actually I think within these programs you create a bigger sense of community outside of the sort of the big games, which is really great to see. I think in terms of the great stuff that we're hearing now and all of the amazing stats that we've got, I think from Tom Drake as well, from the EFL, I think sort of flipping the coin a little bit in terms of what challenges do you face when using to tackle social issues, and how have you worked to overcome them? I think going back, on that national level as well, Tom, I'd like to hear your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, I think there's 2 things. Like, one is around public perception. So many still see football club charities as like sport only organisation, in terms of like football is the only thing that they're doing. It often overlooks the work in terms of, like we've alluded to, mental health, education, employability. So like that narrow view can sometimes limit the funding and partnerships and the engagement. I suppose like one of the most challenging, which won't be a shock to anybody, is around the funding landscape, which is more competitive than it's ever been. So it's really challenging and complex. So football club charities are required to really diversify their income streams and methods to ensure that they can continue to meet the needs of their communities, which I think, like, for the audience in terms of, and just the wider public, it poses an opportunity to consider how we might be able to collaborate with football club charities in regards to social value, whether that be through procurement or social responsibility in terms of those corporate organisations. But I think they would be the 2 main ones that I'd pick out.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. And I think that, from a sort of local level as well, Tom Norton, do you sort of agree in terms of what you're seeing at Nottingham?
Oh, sorry, I was just trying to get myself unmuted there.
Technology.
Yeah, 100%. Again, the funding market is very, very competitive, as it's been alluded to. But at the same time, like you say, you're trying to diversify yourself and work with different partners. A lot of the funding in Nottingham Rail is based around collaboration and working together, and how you can work together with those different organisations to put a funding bid together. So there's a lot of focus in Nottingham at the moment through active knots, through place-based partnerships, and they're calling it the crunchy issue in those areas to kind of come together as a collective and figure out what the crunchy issue is in those areas and what we could put together there as a collective instead of being individuals, and all come together. And whoever plays, some organisations might play a bigger part than the others, but everybody will be there doing it as a collective. So yeah, that it's definitely kind of happening, like I say, at that local level as well. But if anything, it should bring the communities and the organisations that are within them closer together to work more collaboratively.
Absolutely. Alex, do you see any different challenges from the Premier League, or is it pretty much the same as what you kind of see in the EFL?
Yeah, I think I would echo the points that we've heard there for ourselves and for the network of club charities. One addition I would offer up is perhaps the importance of good and robust data collection and monitoring at a local level. And for us, it's really important that is reported into us so that we can really understand and gather insights, demonstrate impact, so that we can continue to make the case for funding on behalf of the network. So we're an ever growing and evolving network, and over the last 10 years we've become a much more sophisticated group of charities. So I think we've come a long way, but I think we still can go a bit further. And I think with social value in particular, it's really important that we're joining the movement and making sure that we can really demonstrate the social value, the economic impact of the work that we're doing in communities. And I think government hopefully will recognise that and see the work that clubs are doing in the community as viable investment opportunities.
Great, thanks. I think in terms of the government as well, do you sort of, and this may be a question for Gavin, in terms of what you guys do, is there requested information around that social impact, or is it more, does it come from them, or do you kind of feel like it's more of a where you're demonstrating towards policymakers?
Absolutely, Helen. I mean, it's I suppose use an example of it was the first piece of work we did with EFL in the community, where the results from that were presented to the then Minister for Sport, and we've had lots of interest in the EFL in the community. We've had lots of interest from individual MPs who are interested in essentially what football clubs deliver to their communities, rather than just 90 minutes of entertainment on a Saturday afternoon. And it's the ability of the charities and the leagues to be able to tell the story in detail of both the qualitative story of some of the things we've heard this afternoon, the real difference that is made to people's lives, but also to be able to quantify the difference, and presenting that in a social value method is one of the ways of doing that. Say, this isn't just us engaging some people because it's nice to engage some people. We're delivering real differences, and those differences are worth something both to the taxpayer in terms of potential savings, but also those individuals and their life chances. So it's an ongoing process of educating policymakers, commissioners, funders on the difference that football clubs can make and do make, and that's about, I guess, really raising the awareness of the scale and the purpose and the focus of that work, and the real difference that it makes to people's lives. And in contexts where we've seen football clubs disappear over recent years and go into financial difficulties. This is very much part of the story of why it is important that a football club is protected. And if people do countenance the idea of what a town might be like without a professional football club, then yeah, it's important to understand that these benefits will disappear as well as 11 people kicking a wind round on a Saturday afternoon, or whatever the phrase is. It's all this stuff that clubs and charities are doing that sometimes isn't recognised, but certainly should be, because of how absolutely vital it is to communities up and down the country.
Great, thanks, Gavin. And thanks, everyone. We are literally coming to the end of the discussion now. I think we could go on for ages on this. And there's way more questions, I think, that I've got just to talk to you all about. But I think if we open the floor up to questions, I'm going to start with one from, is it Nathan Good or Nathan Goody, around collaboration. So the question is, and I'll let you guys decide between who's going to answer these. What about collaboration between clubs across the country? Is there mileage in joining forces around specific social value initiatives?
Helen, I'm happy to jump straight in on this one. I think there are so many good examples of how clubs are working together, and that's seen across the country. And in particular, there are regions where clubs have constituted themselves as a separate entity, working collaboratively. So in London, you have an organisation called London United. It's a collective of the clubs, the professional football club charities in London. And in fact, I know Gavin and his team have recently completed some research to support their work around youth violence. And there are many examples of this, whether it's two clubs locally, Aston Villa and Wolverhampton Wanderers, for example, or a collective in a region. There's lots of sharing and learning of good practice. There's joint bids for the funding and delivery. And I think as we start to see devolution really come into force, we're going to see more and more of this going forwards.
Yeah, if I just build on Alex's example, so EFL in the community, we recently launched a funding opportunity which encouraged club charities to work collaboratively on issues for the local areas in which they target, but that was data driven. So for example, Preston had the same demographic data in terms of educational attainment as Watford and Bristol. So it wasn't all just based on those regions coming together. So we, both EFL in the community and the PLCF, have impact and insight teams which will help drive that data to encourage club charities to come together. So in terms of Nathan's question, there's definitely mileage in it, and I suppose we're starting to sort of see the fruits of that in terms of how we're operating centrally.
I can just jump in from on the ground level. That exact initiative Tom was talking about, we did actually apply with Norwich. Sadly not successful, but we started a bigger conversation with our neighbours and actually how we do something that was around military engagement and how we support our veterans and our forces families. But now we really want to work together, so we're going to find some other funding to do that, and it's kind of widened that conversation. So the network is incredibly it's a fantastic network I've never come across. I've been involved in sport and football and the charity for 3 years. It's an incredible network, all doing fantastic work and very happy to share anything. So there's always a conversation going on as to what we can do better, how can we drive up our social value, how can we really support the people that we support locally, because we might compete on the pitch but we don't compete locally.
I suppose I can add a little bit as well. Obviously, we've got Notts County Foundation just across the River Trent from us, and again, we try to work together in terms of knowing where each other are delivering. We've got some national lottery money that we work collaboratively together with, delivering out of their venue and with their staff as well. But for us as well, we're trying to deliver the same outcomes, and I think it's really important that we communicate with each other as well. And some of the programs we deliver are the same, so we're not delivering the same programs at the same time or in the same area is really, really important, because that's only to the detriment of the participants if we're doing that. So having that communication with each other so that, you know, we can sort of spread that love around the city and the county is really important.
Thank you. Hope we've got time for 2 more questions, so we'll be quick on these ones. So the next one's from Jess Keane. Some of the biggest wins in community programs are things like confidence, belonging and inclusion. How do you go about measuring and capturing that kind of impact? I think, Gavin, that might be one for you.
Thanks, Helen. Yeah, there's a series of different validated questionnaires that the clubs and CCOs use for different types of projects that might measure outcomes along these lines. Some of those are sort of standardized tools that are available. Some of them modeled from questionnaires that are used in clinical settings, but also the PLCF and EFL have invested in quite a lot of outcome measurement tool development over recent years, where they've worked with professional consultancies to develop different types of questionnaires and develop questions that are validated to ensure that particularly things like confidence, relationship to mental health, and confidence, belonging and inclusion can be monitored. In addition, it's worth saying, because I mean, it's a lot of that sort of questionnaire-based data that feeds through to social value calculations, but clubs and CCOs also do an awful lot of work collecting data that goes into qualitative reporting of the difference that their interventions make, which is really important, not only for sort of bringing participants' voices into the evaluation, but also reflecting in a different way on the differences that engagement with charitable the charity's different activities makes to people's lives.
Great, thank you. I'll just go for one more question while we've got some time. Trying to be quick. And this one's from Emma Drake. It's how much does the ongoing issue of racism in football impact your work on community cohesion? And does anyone?
Helen, I'm happy to share some of the work. I mean, this month is Black History Month. Many people may be aware. Over the 2 weekends, last weekend and next weekend, we are running our No Room for Racism campaign as a league. That's activated through every match fixture to really continue to challenge the issue of discrimination in the game. Sadly, it continues, and it is a blight on the game. There are measures in place and sanctions that exist. There's enhanced reporting if you're ever a fan attending a football match. But thinking about the community, it's a really important area for us, and we deliver a lot of training for the network. We also provide a lot of resources for club charities to use with their participants, delivering workshops in the community, in schools, to help educate and improve understanding, awareness around cultural differences. Because we put a positive spin on it, and we celebrate diversity, and we encourage young people to do so through our programs. Through the work of the collective as well, we do have a governance code that exists, which has a specific section around equality, diversity and inclusion. We have dedicated leads within every club charity at board level and within the staff team who lead on this important work. So we connect with them and support them to deliver their work locally. So there's a huge amount we do. There is, of course, lots more that needs to be done. Yeah, please do keep an eye out for the No Room for Racism campaign as an example.
Great, thanks, Alex. And I think just to end, I think on that, there's just from what I've seen, even just working with the FA and also hearing, from what Nottingham Forest Community Trust from our partnership from that do, across the board, there's so much more work that the teams do across, whether it's tackling race, gender or vulnerability, social issues. And there's absolutely, like I say, I think we could talk for another hour on all of these and all of the great work that everybody does. But unfortunately, we're coming to a close. I'd like to pass on a huge thank you to our panelists for sharing your experiences and all your insights. and to everybody listening for your attention and really thoughtful questions. And I'm hoping leaving this session inspired. If you're curious to learn more, definitely speak to everybody on our amazing panel about what your organisations can do to support the charities and the initiatives and all the community trusts across the board, because we've definitely seen some great work, and we really want to continue to collaborate more with our partners through the FA and through our Nottingham Forest partnership. So it's definitely, I can definitely vouch for these conversations to happen, because it's worth it, especially from a kind of social impact point of view, and we can really drive a lot of impact as organisations. So again, thank you very much to everybody, and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you, Helen. Thanks all.
Thanks.
Thank you.